narrate for you is to 1900. GRD was in the 1930s to 1950s. Now we come to the 1990s. Mr. Ratan Tata is now the chairman of the Tata Group. He stands up at an industry forum and says that India should have its own indigenous car. This was in the 1990s. The only cars in India at that time were the Maruti Suzuki, which was designed in Japan and only assembled in Gurgaon, and the Hyundai, which was designed in Korea and assembled. Prior to that, it used to be the first. So he said, Mr. Ratan Tata said, we need our own, India needs its own indigenous car. And what was the reason for that? The reason was that every developed country has a car industry that it can call its own. A car industry creates a number of ancillary units, creates a number of jobs, and actually the car industry sets new standards of engineering excellence in a country. So it's not just producing a car, but it actually catalyzes the engineering industry in the country. When Ratan Tata said this in the mid-1990s, that he wanted to make India's first car, he invited others from the industry to join him. There was skepticism. People didn't believe that India could make its own car. Remember, by then India had already, exploded its nuclear device. By then India had already sent its first satellite into space, Aryabhatta. But India did not have a car it could call its own. So when people were skeptical, Mr. Ratan Tata said, if others are not willing to join me, I will do this on my own in telco, which is now called Tata Motors. He faced a tough path ahead. It required a lot of courage to say that. First, the car needed to be designed. He got engineers from the Engineering Research Center of Tata Motors, working with the IDO of Turin to design the Tata Indica. At that time, it was a revolutionary design. People were awestruck by the car. His concept of the design was very clear. He said, I want a car as large as an Ambassador because Indians travel in large families, but the car should have the fuel economy of a Maruti Suzuki and it should have the styling of a Zen. When the Indica was first launched, that's what it had. But before it was launched, he also had to find a manufacturing plant where the Indica could be made. And a manufacturing plant for cars is very expensive. It costs a few $1 billion, which Tata Motors could not afford at that time. So his management team and he went around the world looking for a car plant which was more affordable. They found a plant in Australia, a disused Nissan plant, which they had brick by brick. They disassembled the plant, brought it to India, and assembled it again in Pune. He trained workers to make the Tata Indica. I have met some of the first few workers who assembled the Tata Indica in Pune. They were, school graduates who speak Marathi. Even today, when they think of the first Indica, they've got tears in their eyes. They say it took them 8 days to assemble the first Indica. Today, you go to Tata Motors Pune, there's a car coming out of that factory every 54 seconds. And you've seen Tata Nexon and some of the more recent models which Tata Motors have launched, which are doing brilliantly. But the history of that car's voyage is a courageous decision that Mr. Ratan Tata took to get into making India's first indigenous car, the Tata Indica, where virtually all parts of the car were also Indian. People have asked him, Mr. Tata, why did you do this? How did you have the courage to do this? And his response to them always was that I had trust in my young engineers and I wanted to do something which has never been done before to inspire the young people of this country.